Tamala.
Right.
How are you?
Too bad.
That's good. How was your day?
I've had a great day. Great day. Hanging out with the grandbaby.
That's so good. So tell me a little bit about yourself.
Um, well, let's see. I work in healthcare. I've been there about 10 years now. I spent about 7 or 8 years prior to that in corporate. I'm a mom, business owner, writer, speaker, all those kind of things.
You're everything. That's
Renaissance woman.
you say what?
Renaissance woman.
Yes. Are we all? So tell me about what inspired you to be a part of No More Residue.
Well, I've known Crystal for over 15 years, and I'm never home when she would go live. I'm always working. But this particular day, because of COVID, I was home and my phone binged and it said Crystal was live. So I jumped right on. And when we got off, we talked for a few minutes. And then she said, I wanted to reach out to you because I'm doing this anthology. And when she was telling me about it, I was definitely interested, but I kept thinking, I don't know if I really have a story to tell. So when I thought about it, I said, I definitely do have a story. I said, but I need to talk to my daughter about it first and make sure she's okay with it. And once I called her up and we talked about it, and she said, tell the story, mom. So I just started writing. you know
Wow.
I just figured that it would help someone. It
Yes.
eventually end up helping me. So
That's good. And that's how it usually works too. It help
always.
everybody. It really do. So what was it like working with Crystal?
um It was a little different just because I've known her for so long and I knew her in a professional aspect because we worked together. So getting to know her this aspect was a little different, just because I know her as being in excellence and working hard, but she really pushed us. She's amazing. When I wrote my story the first time, I sent it to her and she said, "Where's the details?" And I thought, well, I added a lot of details. And she said, no, you didn't give me enough details. So I set it aside for about a week and then I went back to it. And I definitely had to add the details. She pulls it out of you. She asks questions like, what did the room feel like? How did the room smell? And that's what brought the details. But Crystal is definitely a true visionary in this aspect because she knew exactly what she wanted and she did not stop pushing us until we gave her what she wanted.
Yeah, she's so determined, isn't she?
Very much so.
That's good though to have someone like that in your life though, because sometimes we gotta find people to actually push us when we're the pusher all the time.
Exactly. I'm so used to always being the one that's, handling everything and not having to do that in this situation and just being able to write my story was amazing.
Wow.
Once it was written, and I felt really confident in it, she said, I'm gonna give you guys 500 more words. And I thought, oh, I have a whole lot more I can add with 500 more. And I think all of us really benefited from that.
That's good. So what obstacles did you have that you had came across in your chapter?
My issue was my pride and my ego.
Wow.
Without giving too much of the story away, I had gotten passed over for a promotion that I honestly felt I deserved. And knowing that I needed to leave, I didn't do it the right way. And because of my anger, I just left. And I thought I was doing the right thing. It just didn't turn out that way. So for me, I had to learn that I was the problem.
Wow.
I was the problem. If I would have stopped and prayed on it and planned my exit, it would have never turned out the way it did.
Wow. That's interesting because some people don't even admit that they have that pride and that ego of feeling like that. What type of feelings did you have or what during that process, because I always wanted to know how do people feel when they do have a pride and ego. Like, what was your mindset?
I didn't think it was me. I didn't think it was me, until I was stuck sitting in that room trying to figure out my next steps. My daughter and I ended up homeless. My daughter and myself and my dog ended up homeless because I didn't plan it out the right way. It took
Wow.
me a long time to realize this was my problem. I did this, and until you learn that sometimes some of the trauma and the hardships we go through are our own fault, until you learn
Yes.
that, you're not going to grow.
Yes, that is so true. So during that time of you having your pride and ego, what transpired for you to even walk up and leave your job?
It was just something simple. I had applied for a couple of positions, and the first time I didn't get it. And I was told, maybe you needed to work on this and this. And I said, okay, great, no problem. So the next time I didn't get it. And when I spoke to my director at the time, he said to me, I don't necessarily have anybody that can do your job the way you do it.
Wow.
At that point, I was done. It didn't matter to me if I didn't get another paycheck after today because I was done and I was leaving. And I should have planned my exit, and I didn't.
Right.
I
Right.
and it was great, but I didn't do it the right way.
Wow. Because it ended up creating you and your family to be homeless
Correct. We
and
moved
even leave like that.
from one side of the state. We left North Carolina, ended up all the way in Denver to a job that fell through.
Wow. So during that process, what how did your daughter feel? How old was she at the time?
Oh, she was pretty young. I think sixth grade.
Oh, well, she knew though.
Oh, she knew exactly what was going on, but for her, it was more of an adventure. Like I felt like a horrible mother. Like I laid in that room and cried myself to sleep. I just thought that, for me, how could I do this to her? We're laying on these thin vinyl mats on a cold concrete floor. And all I could think was, she's going to hate me. And what she said to me was, this has been the best adventure.
Wow.
Yeah.
Did that when she said that at that very moment, did it motivate you?
I don't know if it so much motivated me. I think it just made me look at her differently because I realized she wasn't a little kid anymore.
Mm-hmm.
That made the difference. That made the difference. And I knew that I would never want to put us in a position like that again.
Right.
I'd had a good job. I had a great career with the Fortune 500 company. We were doing well. We did vacations, anything she wanted within reason, except for those diamond earrings when she was in the sixth grade and she asked for. But other than that, anything that she wanted that I was able to provide, I did. Times were a little hard sometimes, but we had never been in a situation where I had to struggle like that.
Right. So when did you realize it was your pride and ego? Was it someone that told you or something that you had to realize on your own?
I don't know. No one told me. No one physically told me.
Okay.
Um, what happened was I got sick, and while I was terribly sick, and I really thought that I wasn't going to make it, and I had no money to go to the doctor or to an ER, and I'm drinking Tylenol warming cold medicine out of the bottle, trying to make myself feel better. I knew at that moment I couldn't do this on my own. So because we were homeless and in the shelter, I grabbed a Bible from somebody and I honestly didn't even know where to start at that point. And I just kept sitting there and
Okay.
I couldn't even open the Bible. And I was holding it just like this. And I said, where do I start? Just like someone turned on the light, I heard the book of Job.
Wow.
And And I had never read that book before. And I sat in that room in the darkness with the little door cracked like this and read that book. And when I was finished with the book of Job, I realized I can get through this. I said, I can get through this. We can get over anything we need to get over if we pray on it and we make the right decisions. And at that moment, I just knew. I said, the Lord is not going to leave us stuck.
No.
And I laid there watching her sleep, holding my dog wrapped up in my fur coat because it was cold in there. And we got through it.
How long were you like homeless?
Altogether, it was probably about 6 weeks, but we spent 3 weeks in that shelter. And when you read the book and you find out the details of that shelter, it's amazing. It is absolutely amazing. At that moment, I learned that my daughter was stronger than I was.
Oh, that's deep.
And I learned that even during the worst times, she brought joy to everybody that was there.
Wow.
And she was the blessing I needed. At that moment, she was what I needed to get through it. The Lord gave himself to her and she brought me through it.
But you know what? I'm not even going to let you discredit yourself like that. Because with your daughter being strong the way she is, it's because that's how you raised her to be.
And I can agree with you now, but at that time, it went right over my head.
I bet. But that should show you how good of a mother you were and you are now.
Thank you.
Because a lot of us discredit ourselves about things, but I know as mothers, I've seen mothers to be at their weakest moment. I've seen my mom at her weakest moment, but I was stronger at that time, and that's how you guys trained us to be, not knowing that's what you're doing. So that's exactly what you did with your daughter, and you have to commend yourself of you starting her with that since she was born.
Yes, I agree. Like I
Seriously.
said, at that time, I would have never got it. But I'm really glad that I wrote the story because it let me release. It wasn't anything that I was ashamed of. It was something that I just didn't share with many people. Like there's probably 90% of my family have no idea that we even went through that.
Really?
Like I honestly just mentioned it to my mom about a year ago.
Wow. And how did your mother feel about knowing that?
She was. When we finally got it together there, Alicia and I, and we ended up moving into a place. And then, once the school year was over, we ended up moving back to Ohio, and I didn't even tell my mom at that point. It was just nice to be able to be around family because I've always been the one that just gets up and goes. There's always a freeway that can take me home, or there's an airplane that can take me home. So I've never had to worry about that. But in that moment, after what we experienced, I needed to be near the family.
Yes, I already know. So with you being in the shelter, what was the what was the feelings that you have from witnessing and seeing testimonies of different women, or even communicating with them while you were in there?
I didn't do a lot of communicating. There was one or two people that I spoke to. I was more amazed at my daughter was doing all the communicating and didn't even realize she was doing it. you but I learned a lot. I did. I learned a lot about myself. Um, I write a lot of poetry. So on those nights when I couldn't sleep, I would sit in there and write in that little dark, cold room. I would just write, and it made me feel better. I've never been one to journal, but for me, I can write a poem
Wow.
and convey what it is that I'm feeling. And it just works better for me that way.
I mean, that's good though. That's a good attribute to even have because, some people will write something and we're just writing away, but put it in a poetry form, it makes it so much stronger because what's coming from your soul.
Yeah, for me, I think just because I've always been a private person, I didn't want to journal because I didn't want to put all that on right in paper. What if somebody ran across it?
Right.
I'm not trying to explain anything. What happens in my life and what I do, I'm not apologizing for it. I've made mistakes, but that's who I am. And as Crystal always says, yeah, I did. Now what?
I know that's right.
Once it's done at that point. Did I learn from it? Most definitely. But I don't have that comfort level that I'm going to write it all down on paper somewhere.
So
I'm
what did
together and make a poem out of it.
Yes, definitely. So what did you do? What was the first steps that you made besides you admitting that you had that issue of having pride and ego? What is the first step that you did to overcome it and for
Well,
you to realize like I need to change?
that's funny because working with Crystal, I've worked on an online class that I'm going to start. And that's my first thing. I have what I call a 4-step program. So, what I do is number one is identifying the problem, because 9 times out of 10, if you're in a situation like I was and it's a pride and ego issue, you got to realize that you're the problem. And then once you do that, you just have to plan your next course of action. So at that point, I am going to get pen and paper and I'm going to write it down. And what's going to be my next step? Okay, so how do I get out of this situation? And then how do I make sure this situation never happens again? And then once I did that, the next part just came easy because I already knew where to go. I had a good foundation and a good starting point.
Wow. I think where your strength is at that I admire, you said that no one ever told you about your pride and your ego, but the fact that you noticed it yourself, that is amazing because sometimes, we don't notice things.
Correct. For me,
So
it's like I just knew. So yeah, it hit me. This you did this, and then I thought, okay, if I did this, how did this happen? And I thought my pride got in the way, and my ego stepped up and ran with it, and I just let her go, and she took us right to the homeless shelter.
mm-mm-mm. So why do you feel like your story is important to women?
I think it's important just because we don't always realize that we can be the problem. We're really quick to point out the problems of the person we're having an issue with, but we don't always realize that we play a part in that as well. In this situation, I didn't have anybody else to blame, so I had to look at myself.
Mhm. Yes, that's for sure. I think in a lot of cases, when we go through so many things, we do have to analyze ourselves and see what we're doing wrong and fix those problems. And a lot of times people that present things to us, sometimes they have problems and issues too. And sometimes we take on all those problems and issues that they have.
That's true.
But yes, seriously. So it's like when we get to going through so many things, we have to map out and recap everything that transpired at that moment and be like, okay, where did I go wrong at that very moment? What do I need to fix? It's like you writing down different things, what, when, where, how. And you just start writing down different things on what you did wrong. And that's part of growth. And a lot of people can't accept your growth either when you surpass that feeling that you have,
I
and
agree.
they want to still carry it on for years after years. But look, that's what happened then. This is what I realized about myself. So let me move forward, or you just move out my way.
My thing was I had to forgive myself, and that was really hard. I carried that for a long time. I think I probably carried that for several years. And even though we were in a good place and things were a whole lot better, I still held on to that. And it kind of limited me from moving further in my career for a long time because I was afraid that I was doing it out of that rush instead of actually trusting myself that I knew what was happening. So for a long time, I stayed in a position that I had really outgrown, but I had to convince myself that I was making the right decision, and I'd pray on it, and 3 or 4 months would go by and I'd say, oh, I'll apply for the next one, and after a while it was just like, now you're holding yourself back. So I had to forgive myself. And once I did that, I've been on the move since then.
Well, since then, since you opened the book of Job, how consistent have you been with your relationship with God?
I'm as consistent as I'm not going to say as consistent as I should be because every day I know I need to do a little bit more. But when I was packing to come up here this past week, first thing I did was throw my Bible and then another book that I wanted to read in my suitcase before I put my clothes in there, because I know that there's so many days that you just, if you don't know what to pray for, if you don't have anything to pray for, or you don't know what's going on, just open it up and read a few passages, and you're going to know where you're going at that point.
Yes.
And I think that's what scares a lot of people because they don't know where to go. They don't know the book. They don't know what the verses are. They don't know the chapter. Of course, they know Jesus wept because that's the easiest verse to remember. But open the book, and I've become the queen of the highlighter. So every time I read something new, I just highlight it, and then that way I know when I flip it open, okay, I'm actually doing what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm reading. I'm studying because it's not always easy.
No.
I was mad at him for a while I was in that shelter. How could you allow this to happen to us? And it wasn't him, it was me. I allowed it to happen to us.
Yes. And a lot of us, when we do get in situations, we do find ourselves getting upset with God instead of really figuring out the problem that caused it. Because even before things transpire in our lives, God give us signs.
Yes, he does.
And so with us getting those signs and us ignoring him, we get mad at him acting like he ain't ever told us nothing. And having a whole fit.
Stop calling me out, Yvette. Stop calling me out.
And seriously, we'd be so upset. And then it'd be like, at the same time when we being upset, he kicking our butt at the same time because we figure out our problems is getting worse and worse and worse. And that's him whooping us. Like,
Oh,
okay,
definitely.
you, yeah, it's like, okay, you want to be mad at me? All right. Well, you going to keep getting mad until you surrender to me and listen to what I got to say.
Yeah, I said I'm only gonna hit my head so many times.
Girl, listen,
And
me
I'm gonna start
too.
paying attention. I'm gonna start paying attention. So when in doubt now, I stop and think about it for a minute. And then I think back over whatever decision I'm trying to make. My grandmother always told me, if you want to make the Lord laugh, you tell him what you gonna do. And I didn't understand that when I was a kid, but I learned it as I got older.
Yeah, he laughing real hard. And what do you think? Like, what advice could you give someone that find themselves getting upset with God, knowing that we can't be mad at him because he didn't even give us that direction?
Not at all. We have to take personal responsibility. We can't blame it. You can't blame something that's happening on the Lord. You know, we lose someone unexpectedly, and a lot of times people, say, "How could God allow this to happen?" Well, His plan is not for us to know. We just have to understand as the time progresses. We might not know exactly why something happened today, but 3 years from now, we're going to say, okay, now I get it. I understand why this happened. I think we just overthink it.
Yeah.
You know, it's like we expect him to work that miracle for you on every step, but he's not going to work the miracle for you if you're not doing what you're supposed to do anyway.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
And then he makes it like we think we supposed to just take from him and not do any work.
you have to put in the work.
Yeah, for us to receive anything.
Yeah, we definitely have to put in the work. And I think once you take personal responsibility for the problems that you're having, you know, he's going to make it a whole lot easier for you. He's never going to lead you in the wrong direction. He's not. But unfortunately, we don't always get that.
No. No, we don't. But it's like we have to be consistent with it because all we doing is hurting ourselves in the end. And it's like after so long, how long you plan on hurting yourself?
Well, you know, I don't, like I said, I don't want to bump my head, but so many times,
Yes,
you know, a
seriously.
couple of lessons that it took me a little bit longer, and I probably hit a few times more than I wanted to. But generally, one good knock and I figure it out.
Yes. And sometimes we find ourselves, we pray for a lot of things. And usually the things that we pray for and we asking God to do for us, it could be the most painful thing ever because it's so unexpected in so many ways. And you be like, God, like, why is this hurting so bad? And then I usually go back and think about the prayers that I pray for. And then when something start happening, probably a year or two later, I don't be having no understanding of it until that prayer is answered. But it's a painful process, especially when it's people that's close to you, or it has something to do with your job. It has something to do with anything in your personal life. It's a painful experience, but you gain a lot of growth afterwards.
Well, I definitely had to grow in that area because I found many years ago, and I've thank God he's got me through that now. But I would pray for a certain situation to be removed, and then it would be removed. And sure enough, a year later, I'd find myself in that same situation. And then it just dawned on me like, why am I praying for this to be taken out of my life? And I'm just replacing it with another version of the same mess.
Oh my God, yes.
Yeah. I hit that head a couple times too.
Yes, seriously, and it always ends up happening that way. It's not purposely or anything, but it's just a fact of us trying to grow ourselves. Look at you getting all cute and
Oh,
stuff.
that wasn't a point. I was pulling. It was pulling a little too much. I had to
All I see
take
was
that.
this.
I had to
Sorry, you just really threw me off.
stop it.
I'm like, okay, Tamala.
No, they was pulling on me. I was like, I gotta take that hair down before I get a headache.
Yes. So how would you feel? I mean, how is your testimony? How would it help other women right now?
I think it would help just because what I've been through with that whole pride and ego, I am not the only person.
Girl, no.
I'm not the only person. And I know that if you honestly look at the situation from the outside, you can see the part that you played in it. You may not be the main reason, but we're causing a lot of trauma to ourselves. So until you realize that, stop pointing the finger. Sometimes I was the toxic person. And until I realized how I can recognize that that was my problem, I couldn't grow.
Hmm. Being a toxic person. Goodness. That was a strong one right there when you actually hear someone say that, like, I am the toxic person. You don't hear that often.
Oh no, I was the toxic person. I was.
Seriously, you don't hear it often because we so busy like pointing the fingers at so many people, but you have to own up to the things that you are doing, and you're doing just that, and that's where your blessings are going to continue to flow, even when you have get into a storm or anything, you're going to overcome it because you're going to continuously be blessed anyways.
Most definitely. I read a quote from Maya Angelou that said, um, even the strongest storms run out of rain.
Oh,
I remember that when times get tough. I'm grateful that we don't have to see this storm. It's going to come to the end at some point.
yes. And you know what's so crazy? I like storms. I love going seriously, I love going through a storm because it's like the anticipation that I have, what I know what's getting ready to come, it makes me excited. So it makes me be really calm and laid back. Because when we going through a storm and we make things worse by us overthinking, find ourselves going crazy, thinking like just doing too much.
Yeah,
And
I
then
like to be near the water.
yeah, like if we just lay back and chill and analyze, you gotta really like view that storm because the things that's going on during that storm, we have to really pay attention to it because we have to make sure we don't make that same mistake once God level us up.
Correct.
Because he's given us those signs like, okay, you shouldn't do this, you shouldn't do that, but I'm about to take you to this other level. Now don't make sure you don't go backwards.
And that's where we go wrong. We're all going to backtrack a little bit.
Always.
It happens. It's just recognizing it and catching it before you go too far.
Yes, definitely. And we just gotta keep on going and not let our pride and egos to continue to keep going in our lives too much because we have different levels of pride and egos.
Yes. And for me, I just have to keep it under control. I have to keep it under control. I write everything down. Like I have these two boards on my wall. One of them is like my goal board, and the other one is my things to do board. So I take that marker and I mark it off as I go. When I get to marking off quite a bit and I get all excited and I'm like, oh, look at me doing, I'm like, hold on. Yeah, I'm doing something, but don't get all excited about it and get to forgetting what caused us to be in trouble before. So it's just a constant reminder. I'm a big affirmation person. So I'm always writing something down. I'm the queen of the post-it note. I have post-it notes all over my room.
Wow.
Post-it notes everywhere.
So how do you feel about people knowing your secret now? It's not just you from telling your mom last year. Now that 90% about to turn into 100% of people knowing.
Correct. I don't, I think for me, once my daughter said to tell the story, I didn't really care what anybody else was going to say. It is what it is. I went through it and I overcame it. So if you want to learn from me, I will help you. I will teach you how to work through this. If you have something negative, say, keep it to yourself. If you want me to hear your negativity, first of the month, you can pay my rent.
Oh, hello.
Other than that, I don't want to hear it. But if you want to buy that month, you're more than welcome to on the first of whatever month, and I will listen to what you have to say.
Dang, I'm gonna have to use that one if you want to buy that month. I ain't never thought of that line. Next time somebody was like, "You want to buy my month?"
I came up with that when my daughter was little because she said she didn't want to go to school. And I said, the first of whatever month you don't want to go to school, you pay the rent that month and you can stay home.
Can you make that a shirt so I could buy it?
Put it on a canvas board for you.
Yeah, I want that. I do, seriously.
I'll make it for you. I'll put it on my website and everything and sell it.
Yeah, yeah. That's perfect. So, could you tell our listeners how to look into purchasing No More Residue and read your chapter and all the other beautiful ladies?
Yes, I have such a great group of people that I'm with on this program. They are amazing. nomoresidue.com/Tamala. And it's T as in Tom, Amala. Sounds like Pamela, but it's all A's, no E, because you will not find me. And my website is the same, tamalabowen.com. And this is such an amazing book. It's a movement. It really is. Just the stories that are contained within this book. I know most of everyone's story. And when we were doing editing, I chose not to read anything because I don't want to read it till I have the book in my hand. I'm a tangible girl. I don't do those ebooks. I'm a book. Give me the book in my hand so I can put it on my bookcase and go back to it. But the stories that are in that book are absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing. And just listening to some of the women that share their stories and some of the things that they've been through, I've experienced some of that. And it's made me think of some stories that I had forgotten about.
Ooh.
So I know just from when that book is here and I can read through it, I'm already going to know my story for volume 2 and No More Residue.
Girl, listen.
Them 16 other chapters, I probably got 5 of them rolling around in here. I need to write about myself.
See, that is something else because you're not the only one that said that. And we were even talking about that last night, just how so many all of the ladies that's a part of No More Residue, everybody has a piece of that story somewhere. And so if everybody have a piece of that, just think of how many other women have that same thought process when they read the book. They were like, dang, I'm part of this one too. Dang, they just gonna keep going on and on and on. And it's just amazing how you guys just come together and you're getting ready to inspire so many women. So many.
I agree. I think it's going to do even more than what I thought it was going to do in the beginning. So like every few months, we'd learn a little bit more about each other and a little bit more about each other's story. And I would think, oh, this is going to touch a lot of people, and then I'd hear someone else's story and I'm like, oh, that's going to touch a lot of people. At this point, no, this movement is going to be something else.
I really feel like it's going to be bigger than what all of you think.
I agree. I do. But Crystal's been saying that
Seriously.
from the beginning, from the very beginning.
It's going to be bigger than what Crystal's saying too.
Probably. Yeah, I'm sure.
It's going to be way bigger. It's just Crystal really she changing the game with this.
She really did. I mean, she could multiply her thoughts of where this was going by like 1,000, and we got this.
Seriously.
She followed the direction she was given.
And whoever slept on her before,
Exactly. That's what
they gonna
don't sleep on the next one.
they gonna wake up, but they gonna really be woke when that book release.
Exactly. They're gonna be mad at themselves for saying no.
Yep.
I was surprised. I don't have a large following because I'm new to the coaching aspect.
Okay.
But the number of sales that I've already acquired and the number of sales that we've acquired already, even in just a couple of weeks, man, when these pre-sales are over and the book is out
and get in their hand,
I'm telling you, these are Christmas presents they waiting on. They don't even know. They better go on and start buying before they be out of luck for Christmas.
Yes.
Somebody gonna pick up their copy and walk off with it because they didn't order their own.
Seriously.
I know. I done had plenty of books walk off my bookcase, but you best believe this ain't walking nowhere. You're gonna have to place an order.
You're gonna have a No More Residue bell on it.
Exactly. It's gonna vibrate. My phone gonna vibrate if somebody get too close to the camera.
Yes, definitely, for sure. So what word of advice that you could give women?
Trust yourself. Whatever it is that you want to do, make a plan and do it. Make a plan and do it. There's nothing that we can't do. You
That's
know,
so true.
make a plan and get a whiteboard and put it on the wall in your bedroom next to your TV. So you have to look at it when you're laying in the bed and write everything on there. Cross it off as you go and do what you need to do. Nobody is too old to do anything they want to do. If you want to go back to school and you're 60 years old, go back to school. If you decide you want to get married and you want to start dating at 55, do that. I'll be 49 in a few weeks. I went back to school.
I know that's right.
Do what you're going to do. I have one child. She just gave me my first and only grandchild right now. I'm as happy as I can be. So I know what it's like to be a single mom. I know what it's like to be a new grandmother. Reach out if you have questions. TamalaBowen.com. I can help you with that.
I know that's right, Tamala. I really enjoyed you.
Thank you. I just love your hair, Yvette. I love all the colors.
Oh, thank you. You're just so calm. I like that.
Um, I had to work on it because I was not always calm.
I believe it.
I was the first one to jump. First one to jump, and I had to learn to hold that down.
I believe it is still in you. You just take that,
It is. It
that
is.
one thing.
What I tell them at work is that Tamala came to work, but Tammy's still in the car. So
Oh yeah.
she never far.
Uh-huh. Yeah, it just got a little safety lock on it with a key.
Just I locked the car and I came on. Tamala came on inside, but Tammy's still in the car. So if I hit unlock, I can't guarantee you're gonna like her.
You did it, not me.
Exactly. And in this day and age, with all the craziness that we have going on, I find myself at work every day praying because somebody's always coming for you.
Oh girl, yeah. You just wait until they get hold of this book.
Oh, you're right. You're
Yeah.
right. I'm
Because
expecting a
that's
lot
gonna
of
be
you to come
that's
out this
another
weekend.
level. That's another level for y'all.
It is. It is. We ready for it. We
Oh
ready
wow.
for it.
I know y'all
Right.
y'all some
We're really
strong
ready
women.
for it. She made sure
Mm-hmm.
she put a whole lot of stuff in the arsenal that we got out of this project that we wouldn't have got with another one.
Mm.
So she did an amazing job. She really did. I mean, we got to see marketing in advance and help make some give our opinion. Like the course creation. We did a whole class on creating courses. Social media cleanup
Wow.
because a lot of us, this was new. So because
Yeah.
it was new, if we didn't decide to make a business page on our social medias and we were using our regular social medias, some of that was not appropriate for business.
Right.
So she made a point of saying, "Hey, let's go back and take a look at some of this stuff. Let me connect you with this person so that you can get this done." The fact that we got, podcasts and I got the magazine article, a few of us have done that already. We wouldn't have got all that with another anthology. She went above and beyond. So
Yeah.
if somebody is interested, this is the visionary you want to connect with. I
Mm.
don't know anything about some of them other ones. I know they out making books and putting out anthologies back and back and back, but this is the one you want to connect with Crystal because you're going to get exactly what you want and more.
It's real.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely worth it. The investment was by far pennies compared to what we received.
Aw. That's sweet. It's really sweet.
Is who she is, really. Like she stayed on top of us. I mean, we had like weekly meetings. Not all of them were nice, I tell you that.
I bet.
But that's who she is. She's not gonna fake it.
Right, right.
She's not gonna fake it. I was going through a few things and I was slipping a little bit, and she sent me a text and say, "Just do the assignment." She didn't even call me. She just sent me a text. "What you waiting on?" I still ain't seen the assignment. So I knew that by that Thursday meeting, if that assignment wasn't done, she would go let me have it.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes we need that. You need that encouragement. And it was never mean spirited. It was just direct and tough.
Out
And
of love.
her for so long, I expected that from her. but I got to see it a little more.
Yeah, on another level.
Yeah, definitely on another level. And not everybody was prepared for that.
They be all right.
Oh, they gonna be just fine because they got a whole lot out of this. I mean, I don't think there are 17 more people as appreciative of a visionary than we are.
Aw, that's sweet because I see you guys as teamwork. I see how you all y'all on point.
We try. We
Y'all
try.
are.
If we're not, we're gonna get a little message.
Yeah, but y'all doing good.
We're
From
definitely doing
from the outside looking in, you guys are doing an amazing job.
it. Thank you. Because we are definitely trying. We are definitely pushing. I mean, we are there for each other. It's honestly like I just picked up 16 more siblings.
Aw, that's a blessing. Well, thank you so much for being a part of Life Her podcast.
And congratulations to you. That billboard is amazing.
Oh,
It
thank
is
you.
amazing. I don't know how long it's going to be up there, but hopefully you'll get another one up there in like 6 months.
Oh, girl, claim it. Put it out there.
Got another one in 6 months. Don't worry about it. It's going to stay up even longer.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you very much. Have a good evening.
Okay, you too. Bye.